I was 50 when my husband decided to erase me from his life. After nearly 3 decades together, he looked me straight in the face and said I was too dull, too predictable. Then, as if tossing away an old newspaper, he handed me divorce papers. Within weeks, he was parading around with the woman he had secretly been seeing, younger, louder, and apparently more exciting. But here's what he underestimated. While he thought I would retreat quietly, disappear into the background like a forgotten shadow, I still had one powerful card in my hand, the house. The very home I worked and sacrificed for wasn't his alone. No matter how much he tried to claim it, my name was still etched on the deed. Before I go further, let me thank you for listening to my story. If you feel comfortable, share where you're listening from and what time it is right now. For me, the hour didn't matter anymore. What mattered was telling the truth about what really unfolded. It started on a gray Tuesday morning. We were at the same kitchen table where I had packed his lunches year after year, balanced checkbooks, and helped our son, Adrian, with his schoolwork. He couldn't even meet my eyes. Instead, he stared at the steam curling from his coffee and said in a flat voice, "Lena, I think we've grown apart." Grown apart? I repeated in my head, as if I were a winter coat that no longer fit him. We'd been married 27 years. I had given up my career, advancement at the bank when Adrian was born because his schedule was unstable and someone had to keep the family steady. I cooked every meal, paid the bills on time, and even nursed his sick father for 2 years without once asking for thanks. And how did he repay me? With divorce papers and betrayal? By the end of the month, he was gone. He claimed he needed space. Later, I learned the truth. He had moved directly into the arms of his mistress, Cassandra. He'd once introduced her to me at a company event, calling her just a colleague from accounting. She was 34, the same age as our son. He wasn't even ashamed. Within weeks, their smiling faces appeared on social media, sipping wine in vineyards, lounging on beaches, celebrating like teenagers in love. And me? I sat in the house I had helped build from nothing, staring at the empty chair across the table. Adrian tried to stay neutral. "Mom, I don't want to take sides," he said softly. But I already knew where everyone stood. Silence speaks louder than words. Then one morning, I opened the mailbox and found a letter. Not from my ex-husband, from her. The audacity of it nearly made me laugh. On pastel-colored stationery, Cassandra had typed, "Dear Lena, please arrange a time to collect the remainder of your things. Michael and I are beginning a new chapter together, and we'd prefer not to have interruptions. Afternoons are best. Warmly, Cassandra Morgan," warmly. She had the gall to sign off warmly after taking my place, my home, and even my last name. I sat at the table staring at that letter, the tea in front of me growing cold. My hands trembled, not from grief but from fury. Because that house? It wasn't his gift to her. It wasn't his trophy to give away. I had worked double shifts to afford the down payment. My name was on every document. He had never refinanced, claiming it was too much hassle. Well, that little hassle was about to become their nightmare. I picked up the phone and called my oldest friend, Marissa, a lawyer with nearly 2 decades of experience. She listened carefully as I explained, and then she asked one crucial question. "Lena, is your name still on the deed?" "Yes," I answered. "And he never bought out your half?" "No." Her voice sharpened. "Then you're still a co-owner. You don't need his permission. You can file what's called a partition action. You can either force them to buy you out or force the sale of the house." I was silent for a moment, letting her words sink in. Then I asked, "And if they can't afford to buy me out?" "Then they'll have no choice but to leave," she replied calmly. I glanced out the window at the rose bushes I had planted last spring. Their blooms were fresh, vibrant, as if mocking the chaos in my life. My decision became clear. "Do it," I told her. 2 days after Marissa filed the papers, the phone rang. Michael's name lit up the screen. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Lena, did you really hire a lawyer?" His voice carried that mix of arrogance and fake concern I knew too well. "Yes," I said flatly. "Why are you making this harder than it needs to be? You could have just moved on quietly." I almost laughed. "You made it hard the moment you handed me divorce papers and moved her into my house." He tried his old tricks. Guilt, pity, manipulation. "You're bitter. You need to let go. Cassandra feels uncomfortable with you hovering around." I stayed calm, my voice low and steady. "Then maybe she shouldn't be living in a house that still has my name on the deed." He hung up, but the storm was only beginning. A few days later, I received an email from Cassandra. This time, she didn't bother with fake politeness. "You're humiliating yourself, Lena. Let younger people live their lives. Michael deserves a fresh start. And you're clinging to a dead marriage." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to Marissa with a single line. "Turn up the pressure." She did. The official petition went through. Clean, precise, impossible to dispute. While Michael and Cassandra were busy playing house, the court system was quietly dismantling their illusion of ownership. I kept my silence, just as Marissa advised. But silence doesn't mean weakness. Silence can be strategy. When I finally returned to the house to gather the rest of my belongings, I didn't knock. I still had my key, the one Michael had forgotten to change. As I stepped inside, the air felt strange, almost foreign. This is insane. Do you know how humiliating this is? People will talk. I almost smiled. People already are. You made sure of that when you paraded her around town. There was a pause, then the old venom returned. You think this will make you happy? You think destroying me is going to fix your loneliness? I'm not destroying you, I said softly. I'm simply refusing to be destroyed. He hung up before I could finish. The weeks that followed were tense. Cassandra posted cryptic messages online. Passive-aggressive quotes about toxic exes and women who can't move on, but beneath her curated posts, I could sense panic. And I was right. Marissa confirmed it a week later. They don't have the funds to buy you out. Lena, their mortgage applications keep bouncing. Bad credit, too many debts. They're stuck. I breathed in slowly, letting the relief wash over me. For once, the balance of power had shifted. One afternoon, while running errands, I bumped into Cassandra at the grocery store. She was in the produce aisle, tossing avocados into her cart with unnecessary force. She spotted me and marched over, her heels clacking against the tile. You think you've won, don't you? She hissed. I didn't know this was a competition, I replied, keeping my tone cool. You'll end up with nothing. Michael loves me. The house doesn't matter. He chose me. I tilted my head. Funny. If the house doesn't matter, why are you so angry about losing it? Her lips trembled, but she forced a laugh. You're pathetic, bitter. No wonder he left you. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. Men leave for many reasons. But when the foundation is weak, the new house always collapses. Remember that. She flinched as if my words cut deeper than she expected. Then she stormed off, her cart rattling against the tiles. Later that night, I received a text from an unknown number. You'll regret this. Watch your back. I stared at the message, my jaw tightening. It wasn't signed, but I didn't need a signature. Only one person had that kind of desperation. I forwarded the text to Marissa. Her reply was immediate. Save it. If she tries anything, it'll only strengthen our case. For the first time in months, I felt a strange kind of peace. Because no matter how much noise Michael and Cassandra made, the law and the truth were on my side. The court hearings moved faster than Michael and Cassandra expected. Marissa was sharp, prepared, and relentless. Every time their lawyer tried to argue, she countered with documents, tax records, the original deed, proof of payments I had made over the years. Michael sat at the table, jaw clenched, refusing to look at me. Cassandra, on the other hand, couldn't stop glaring. Her eyes burned with a hatred that almost amused me. She wanted me rattled, but all she saw was my calm face and steady hands resting on the table. The judge didn't take long. Since the property cannot be equitably divided and no buyout has been agreed upon, the court orders the sale of the residence. Proceeds will be split accordingly. A sharp sound escaped Cassandra's lips, half gasp, half growl. Michael reached for her arm, but she shook him off. I almost pitied them, almost. The for sale sign went up within 2 weeks. The house that once held nearly 3 decades of my memories now stood like a monument to everything they had tried and failed to steal from me. Michael called me one evening after the sign went up. His voice was softer than before, almost pleading. Lena, do we really have to go through with this? Can't we work out some other arrangement? I paused, choosing my words carefully. You should have thought of that before you moved her in. He sighed heavily. It's not as simple as you think. Cassandra and I... Michael, I interrupted. This isn't about Cassandra. This is about respect. You disrespected me, our marriage, and everything I gave up for this family. I won't let you erase me. Not from the house, not from my own life. He didn't reply. He just hung up, defeated. As weeks passed, potential buyers toured the house. Cassandra tried to play hostess, greeting them with fake smiles. But her bitterness leaked through. One neighbor later told me she overheard Cassandra snapping at a realtor in the driveway, shouting, "This was supposed to be my home!" Her perfect image was crumbling. Meanwhile, I found strength in small things. I joined a local yoga class, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the time for. I started baking again, experimenting with recipes that filled my kitchen with warmth. Piece by piece, I was reclaiming myself. But Cassandra wasn't done. One evening, as I walked back from the park, I noticed her car parked across the street from my temporary apartment. She was sitting inside, gripping the steering wheel, staring straight at my window. I didn't confront her. Instead, I lifted my phone and snapped a picture, the flash deliberately catching her eye. She jolted, then sped off into the night. I forwarded the photo to Marissa with the caption, "She's watching me now." Her reply came instantly, "Good, keep everything documented. She's digging her own grave." The house finally went under contract, bought, by a young couple starting their first chapter together. I couldn't help but feel poetic justice in that. What Michael and Cassandra tried to claim as theirs was now slipping through their fingers, going instead to people who truly valued it. On the day of closing, Cassandra didn't show up. Michael arrived alone, looking 10 years older, his shoulders slumped. As the papers were signed, he finally looked at me and whispered, "You've changed." I met his tired eyes. "No, Michael, I just stopped letting you control the story." The sale went through on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Just like that, the house where I had cooked countless meals, patched scraped knees, and celebrated birthdays was no longer ours. Michael lingered outside after the closing, standing beneath the gray sky as if waiting for something. I walked past him without stopping, but he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Do you ever miss us?" I paused, rain tapping softly against my umbrella. For a moment, old memories rushed back. Late-night drives, our son's first steps, the holidays we once shared. But then the sharper memories followed. The betrayal, the lies, the way he discarded me like an old coat. "No," I said finally. "I miss the woman I used to be. But I don't miss what you turned us into." I walked away, leaving him standing there in the drizzle. A man who had gambled everything and lost. Cassandra didn't take the loss gracefully. Word spread quickly through mutual acquaintances. She had stormed out of their rented apartment weeks later, screaming that Michael had ruined everything. Someone told me she went back to her old job in another city. Michael, meanwhile, was left with debts, no house, and no wife to prop him up. Justice doesn't always come in the way we expect. Sometimes it arrives quietly, like a tide washing away footprints in the sand. For me, the end was not destruction but rebirth. I moved into a smaller but brighter apartment downtown, close to the library and coffee shops. I bought new furniture. Nothing extravagant, but everything chosen by me, for me. For the first time in decades, every object in my home carried only my story. Adrian came to visit one weekend. He looked around my new space, his eyes soft. "Mom, you seem lighter," he said. I smiled, because I am. Sometimes losing everything you thought you needed shows you what you truly deserve. We cooked dinner together that night, laughing as we burned the garlic bread. For the first time, I didn't feel like someone's abandoned wife or someone's forgotten story. I felt whole again. Months later, I passed by the old neighborhood. The house looked different under its new owners. Fresh paint, flowers blooming in the yard, children's toys scattered across the lawn. It no longer felt like mine, and strangely, that realization didn't hurt. It felt like closure. I whispered softly to myself, "Goodbye." And then I turned and walked away, certain of one truth. I hadn't lost a home. I had found my freedom. If you're listening to this, remember, people may try to erase you. They may try to take what you built. But as long as you know your worth, you'll never be powerless. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply standing tall, walking away, and living better than before.